In this video, I'm going to show you how to completely automate your invoice processing with the human in the loop approach, meaning that you will have the ability to interact with this automation right from your phone. This will be a step-by-step process, meaning once this automation processes one step, it's going to wait for your response to make sure it understands your decision before moving on to the next step and processing the next step of this automation. So I'm going to go ahead and start with a demo, and then I'm going to come back and walk through step by step and show you what these different nodes are and how this thing will work if you were to import this on your own workflow. All right, so right now on the left hand side, you can see this is my Telegram account. Again, I'm using Telegram, but you can use WhatsApp or your phone as well if you want to build those automations yourself. But on the right hand side, this is my workflow. You can see on the left hand side, I already did a few examples, but I'm going to go ahead and upload a new invoice here as an image and then also as a document, because this is able to process an image, a document, and then also a text as well. And again, like I said, I'll come back and explain the different steps and how it's achieving this. But for the demo purposes, let's go ahead and click on test workflow for now. And then I'm going to go ahead and, whoops, I didn't want that to click process. That was from before. So let me go ahead and click on test workflow now. And then I'm going to upload a new invoice. So I'm going to go ahead and upload a photo. And I already have these downloads right here. So this is an example invoice. So let me actually pull that up. This is from Zilker Electronics. Again, I just grabbed this from online from Google, but this is just an example invoice here. As you can see, the balance, it says due 23/38/35. So let's go ahead and upload this, and now it should be able to process that. So I'm going to click on this, go to photos, upload the Excel invoice here, and I'm going to click on send. Oh, actually, before I do that, I need to make sure I'm clicking on test workflow. All right, so now that's waiting for the trigger event. I'm going to press send, and now it's going to go ahead and process this right here. So now it's going to add this to this image section. And again, I'm going to walk through and show you what's happening here, because based on a different switch, based on the file, if it's an image or a PDF or a text, this is going to go to different route. Right now, it's going to this image route. As you can see, it's utilizing this llama parse, and again, I'm going to walk through what the llama parse is. I'll show you exactly how you can create your account there, an API account. But essentially, it's going through and processing this invoice. It's extracting it right now. What is happening is it's checking the status, and then based on the status, if it's pending, it's going to keep going through this wait loop, and then based on that status, once it gets updated, then once it says success, it's going to go ahead and parse that and add it to our Google Sheet. And then it's going to also add that invoice to our Google Drive as well. So let's go ahead and wait for this to get processed. All right, there you go. So it went through, it got processed. Now it's going to add it to Google Sheet. And this is where the human in the loop comes in, because now on the left-hand side, as you can see, I received a message saying, please check and confirm the invoice number, the invoice date, the total amount. So all of this, once the data is correct, now I'm giving the option to have these two buttons that says yes or no. And this is where that human in the loop comes in, because now it's interacting with me, right? And now based on my selection, it's going to now process. So if I say yes or no, different automation route is going to get activated. So if I say yes, now you will see that this is going to get processed through. So if I click on yes, now you'll see, and I test workflow. So now there you go. Now it went through and it said, okay, now that we said, yes, this data looks correct. Now it's going to ask us which payment method was used to pay this invoice, right? So we have three options: card, bank, or cash. I'm going to go ahead and select card. And then same thing, based on my selection, it's going to go ahead and process another route of this automation. So I'm going to again click on test workflow here. And then I'm going to say this was processed with card, let's say. Okay. Now there you go. So now it's going through this route and it's going to update another Google Sheet with all of the data to make sure that it's updated. And it's also going to move this invoice into our Google Drive. And then it's going to send us a message saying that, oops, successfully updated the database. So if I now go to my Google Sheet here, as you can see, it just processed this invoice that is $23.38 with the tax of $111.35, and then also the payment method is card. And again, this payment method, it's absorbing based on our selection. Let's jump into the tutorial. I'm going to go ahead and start with a fresh workflow, and then I'm going to import this and then go through step by step on the different nodes and the different options when it comes to this automation, and then we can test out the PDF as well. All right, so I'm on my blank workflow here. I'm going to go ahead and grab this template right here. So let me go ahead and come down here, download this template, click on download, and now I'm gonna go and upload this from here, import from file. All right, awesome. So let's go ahead and name this invoice agent, invoice automation. All right, so the first thing is we're using Telegram trigger, obviously. I love Telegram because it's one of the easiest way to test out the different automation. But like I said, you can, if you have like WhatsApp, or you can even connect your phone through Twilio, the process should be the same thing. And you can follow other tutorials. There are lots of tutorials on YouTube on how to do that, but it's going to be the same exact way as far as the process is concerned. So I've attached my Telegram trigger, and this is going to be listening for messages that's coming in. The next step is we need to add a switch node, because we need to be able to process different invoices, right? So if an invoice is a PDF, we need to process that. If it is a photo or if it's a text, we need to be able to process all of them at the same time. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to pull up my another example invoice. So this one's a PDF one. So if I go ahead and pull this up, oh, that's huge. All right, so this is a sample, again, another sample PDF for $755. So we should be, I'm going to go ahead and upload this, and this should be able to parse and grab all of that information. So let's go ahead and now click on test workflow again. I'm going to bring up actually my Telegram here. There we go. So let's go ahead and add that. Actually, let me do this. All right. So I'm waiting for trigger event. So let's go ahead and add that. And this time I'm going to add a file. And I'm going to grab this PDF invoice. Yep. Click on send. All right. So there we go. Right now what's happening is it's going to the top here, and I'm going to let this finish, and then I'm going to come back and explain exactly what's going on, because this would have already processed this step already, right? So let's go ahead and let this thing finish. And perfect, it looks like it went through. All right, so now as you can see on the left hand side, I received your PDF. It's in process now. So as soon as you send a file, or you send or upload a image, it's going to send you a message saying it is processing this thing now. And now once it gets processed, it's going to tell you to please check the data, and then based on yes or no, it will be able to go on to the next step. But let's go ahead and take a look at what's happening here. So once we add this Telegram, as you can see, now I'm receiving that information, and this time obviously I received the file, the PDF file. So the next step, what we need to do is through the switch node. As you can see, we need to grab this content from the document. So what I'm doing is essentially just saying json.message.document, and this is coming in from the Telegram. So we're literally using our schema here to grab our document, right? And it has a file ID here, and then also a bunch of other information. But that's what we're doing. We're making sure that we're giving this the ability to process document, image, and the text as well. In this case, as you can see, the document is green, meaning that this is automatically recognizing that this thing is a document. So now it's processing that with a file ID right here. So now after that switch node, this is going to send this based on, so let me quickly zoom in here. As you can see, there's document, image, and text. So now since this is document, this is going to send this to the top. So here what's happening is after that, we're putting in an edit field, or the set node, which is basically going to clean up the data that's coming in out of our switch node here, right? So we're going to grab our chat ID, because we need to be able to respond back to our user from the chat ID. We need to grab the message, and then we also grab the file ID, that document that was uploaded here. So the output, as you can see, it's pretty nice and clean, and we're just getting the first name, last name, and then also the file ID of that uploaded document that went through. So afterward, immediately we're sending a message back to the user saying that received your PDF or received your file. It is in process right now, right? So as you can see right here, we're grabbing the chat ID to be able to interact with the user here. And so this is what we're doing. We're sending him a text saying, hey, received your PDF. It's in process now. You can do whatever or add something else here. It's completely customizable. And then you leave the reply, because again, we don't need to have an additional interface option at this point. So once you send that information, now the user is aware that the document is being processed. And the next thing is we need to grab the file. We need to download the file here. And as you can see in this Telegram node, we're able to grab that file, download it. And then now we're sending this or uploading this to Llama Parse. Now again, Llama Parse is a one of the services that is provided by Llama Index, and you can go ahead and take a look at Llama Index. It's a very powerful website that has a lot of functionalities, but one of it is you can use their API to be able to upload a document, parse the information, and be able to send all of the information that it has been processed or retrieved to additional nodes, right? So it's the same thing. It's a very simple API parameters. So you just grab your APIs here and then also give it the body parser. So the way to do this is if you just go to Llama Index. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what Llama Index is. As you can see, Llama Index, it says build AI knowledge assistance over your enterprise data. And this is one of the most popular tools out there, again, because it's used in enterprise solution. It's used for small businesses, medium-sized businesses. It has a lot of different integrations and a lot of different options when it comes to, like, for example, the framework. It has document parsing, and this is one of my favorite document parsers because it is very widely used. So the great thing is you can use their API to be able to interact with it directly from n8n, and that's what we're doing. We're using this endpoint called api.cloud.llamaindex/AI API parsing and upload, right? So in this step, we're uploading the file. And then the next step, what we're doing is now we're going to get the status of the processing. So what's happening here, because this is very, very important. In this node, we're uploading the file, but in the next node, we're retrieving the status of that upload or of that parsing function, basically, right? So this is going to send us a status of that particular job, again, quote unquote job, because that's what the endpoint is. And based on the status, we need to be able to send this to additional nodes. So for example, if the job is successful, then great, right? We're going to send it to the next nodes to be processed. But if it says pending, then we need to set a wait node here. So that way our workflow automation does not stop or doesn't break. So therefore, we're basically looping this. So we're waiting for this status to change from pending to ready or to success, and then we're going to ship this off to the next steps of our automation. So that's why we're adding this switch node here. Again, we're waiting for the status to get to success, and that's when we'll move it to the next step. But if the error shows any kind of error, we need to be able to stop that workflow automation, or if it's canceled, same thing. But if it's pending, we're sending it to this route where this is going to just wait 1 second. So there's just a node that says wait 1 second, and it's going to keep looping until that status changes to success. So as you can see right here, once it's successful, or once we get the status of success, now we're going to go ahead and send this to another node, and now we'll be able to actually parse the document that's inside this or the document that was uploaded, right? So once, and again, this is another endpoint, right? So this is another endpoint. Same thing, llama index-ai/api/parsing. We need to add the job and then also the result markdown, right? Because now we need to be able to grab the output and then send this to our basic LLM chain. We don't need to put an AI agent here because, again, all we're doing is grabbing the information. We're using a structured output parser to be able to take that information that was parsed from the document, put it in a Google Sheet. So therefore, a basic LLM chain is plenty here. And again, you're just giving a system prompt. You're telling this thing that, hey, you're world's leading expert in document data extraction, specialized in accuracy, identifying, blah, blah, blah. Just standard. Again, you can use your ChatGPT or Claude to be able to grab this prompt here, and you're giving it proper instructions. And then also we're giving it an example of what the JSON output would look like, right? In our case, we're grabbing the invoice number, the invoice date, the total amount, and then also the tax, right? So you can add additional stuff in there as well. We're just adding detailed prompt to make sure we're getting the exact information that we're looking for as far as the format. And then the formatting, we're putting in output parser right here. Again, same thing, use your ChatGPT or Claude to be able to identify exactly what kind of a response you want to achieve from this basic LLM chain. So once it does that, now we're using our Google Sheet to basically grab the schema or grab this information, which again, we're getting this voice number, invoice date, total amount, and then tax, right? And we're just putting that on our Google Sheet, which here has 4 columns: invoice number, date, total amount, tax, payment method. This is later on, but for now we're just updating these 4 columns right here. So once we're done with that step, now we're sending a message to the user back to make sure they check, right? So right here, let me quickly show you inside. There you go. So now we're saying, please check and confirm. And on the left hand side, as you can see on my Telegram here, I'm showing exactly that. So, and then also, is all the data correct? Same thing. You can add whatever you want here. And now we're giving these additional 2 information in the bottom right here. So as you can see, we're saying reply keyboard, right? And then we're adding 2 different options. One is going to be yes, and one is going to be a no. So this is how you can add an interactive way to communicate with your user by adding this reply to keyboard, right? And again, this is just an option that's within the Telegram node here. So now once that is once that's processed, so now we're going to go ahead and grab that file, right? And then we need to also add this to our Google Drive here, right? So I'm gonna show you exactly what happens after we yes or no here. So once we grab that file, because we need to be able to get that file that the user has uploaded and save it somewhere. So in our case, we're putting it in our Google Drive. So as you can see right here, now there's a duplicate one because I added that earlier. But as you can see, this file or this invoice is now in our Google Drive, so we can always have access to this from a later point. All right, so now let's go ahead and take a look at what happens when we press yes here. So now if I click on test workflow and if I click on yes, so the data is correct. So now it says great. So it went through. So now as you can see right here, this is a text because we responded with yes. So therefore it went to this switch node right here. So in this switch node, we're just giving it to 3 different inputs and output, meaning one is yes, no, and then also which payment method, right? And for the payment method, we're giving this 3 option: card, cash, and bank. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. So now user is able to select whether it's a card, bank, or cash, right? So let's go ahead and say it is going to be a bank this time. And now you'll see, I click on test workflow. Now it's listening. I'm going to say bank, and it's going to go ahead and process that in the bottom. It's going to send it to this route, right? Because this is the payments. So now let's go ahead and let this finish. All right, there you go. It says it successfully updated the database. So if I go back to my, I just deleted or closed my Google Sheet. Let me go back and open this. All right, so our Google Sheet here, as you can see, now this was the one that came through, right? This was that $755, as you can see right here, right? And it had 0 tax. It didn't have an invoice number, so it didn't detect invoice number. That's because that sample didn't have an invoice number. So therefore it left this blank. Invoice date, the total amount, and then also the payment method was bank based on our selection, right? So that's how you can interact with this automation. So let's go ahead and take a look at what's happening here. So again, same thing on the switch node. So now the payment has these 3 card, cash, and bank option. So based on the selection of user, so now we're just grabbing what text or what selection, what choice did the user make. And this is the text and then the chat ID, because we need to be able to respond back to the user via that Telegram chat. So now we're grabbing that information. We're grabbing the row number to make sure that we're matching the invoice here, the information with the invoice here, so that way we're updating the correct row here, right? So that's important. We need to make sure we're grabbing the proper row number. And now we're putting a limit node because we only need to grab 1 row. And then we're adding another edit field to make sure that we're manually now or we're cleaning the data that's coming in from here. We're grabbing the tax, we're grabbing the total amount, the invoice date, the invoice number, and then also the bank. right? Or the payment method. So that's what we're doing. And then after that, we're just going to now update that row, right? With all of this information, including the payment method. So now we're going to delete the row that was already there, so that we don't have any duplicates. And then the next step, we're sending this message back to the user saying they successfully updated the database, right? So that's what we're doing here. And you can see on the left-hand side, that's the message that was sent here. And then now we're also we're grabbing the information, or we're searching for that particular file, and that we're going to go ahead and move this and make sure that this invoice is in the correct folder. And as you can see right here, we have added this invoice now to our Google Drive, right? So very, very useful, very, very powerful, because you can essentially add this or apply this to any automation, right? So it doesn't have to be invoicing. You can see how powerful this becomes when you're interacting with the user back and forth, and based on their selection, it moves to the different routes. So you can use the same method, for example, for expense approval, for document processing, for even payroll management, or approving invoices, or additional business related expenses that you have, all doing this kind of human in the loop process where you're actually sending for permission. So for example, if somebody is actually asking you to approve an invoice, this automation could be put in a place where now the manager has the ability to approve, deny, or reject a particular document to be processed. So you can see there's a lot of use cases that could be applied for this. So one of the best ways, again, I always say, is that when I create these things, or when we create these things, this is just for inspiration. I love that our community members, for example, they always figure out ways to use these templates as a base, as a foundation, and build on top of it. So that's why we have our collaboration, our collective wisdom tab, where people grab these templates and collaborate with each other to build different processes and make them even better, right? That's why I have this weekly, bi-weekly challenge, actually, to get prizes. You can actually win up to $125 every other week, just by creating really great workflows. And a lot of people, or $200 actually, not $125. That's just for the first prize, right? So you can collaborate with people to build really useful projects for yourself, for businesses. You can utilize this, or you can monetize this to sell it to somebody. So there are lots of great things that you can do. So make sure you join the community, because it's an excellent place if you're serious about learning n8n, or if you're serious about learning automations in general, to monetize it, or just update your skills for your own business and personal use. I'm going to put the link in the description. I'm going to hopefully see you there. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe the video, because I've got a lot of great content that's upcoming. You don't want to make sure you don't miss it. Thanks for watching again. I'll see you in the next one.